Today, I'm going to talk to you about why I left Fonville Morisey and moved to EXP Realty. In October 2020, I made a big move to EXP Realty, and a lot of my colleagues were extremely surprised. After all, I'd been at Fonville Morisey for 15 years. So I've been getting a lot of questions about why I left, and now I'm getting a lot of questions 18 months later about if it was a good decision and if I'm happy and what's been going on. So I'm going to tell you my story today, and I'm going to start with why I went to Fonville Morisey in the first place, which was 15 years ago. I just got my real estate license and I was looking for a home. And I picked Fonville Morisey for 3 reasons. But the main reason why I picked it is because I connected with the assistant manager who had interviewed me. The second reason was because it was close to my house. And the final reason was because Fonville Morisey had these really cool white houses with black shutters, Southern living feel to them. And so they didn't feel like you were going into an office. It felt like you were going into a home. And I liked the idea of doing that. And the one thing that I didn't think about when I was making my decision on where I was going to go is what the commission splits were and how much money I was going to make. After all, I was a new agent and I'd never sold a house and I didn't know if I was going to sell a house. So that's how I ended up at Fonville Morisey. I had great success. I sold $5 million my very first year. And I continued to have success over the 15 years. And I'm going to be honest with you. I never planned to leave Fonville Morisey. So you may be asking how that happened then. Why did I leave? I'm a person who doesn't go through a lot of change. I've been in my very first house I bought in 1993, 2,000 square foot home, and I've never moved. And it's just not my style to move. And I really loved Fonville Morisey. I loved everybody I worked with. I was in my groove and I was doing well. So I did not want to leave Fonville Morisey. But what happened was I turned 55. And when I turned 55 and I got that AARP notice in the mail, all of a sudden I started thinking about more than just today. And I started thinking about what does it look like if I want to retire? And what I was seeing around me were several different choices. And I was seeing women and men who were 75, 80 years old, and they were still showing houses and they were still in the office. And to me, that's not retirement. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be working till I was 80 years old. And I think that what happens is for a lot of agents, they just can't say no to that paycheck, $10,000, $20,000. All right, I'll go show a house and I'll do that. And for those who are really serious about retiring, what I find they usually do is they just start referring their business out. So they slowly start weaning themselves off of real estate. They refer business off. They get a 25% referral. And then eventually nobody calls them anymore. And I didn't want that either. I had worked really hard to build this great business. I was selling 40 to 50 houses a year. And I didn't want everything I worked for to just, end. And I didn't want to keep showing houses till I was 80. So I was trying to think of a solution, and my solution was to start a team. And I thought, well, if I start a team, then I can teach all these people to do what I do, and eventually they can take the baton and I can sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais. And that was the only solution for me other than the other two. And so that's what I was working towards. And so I started talking to my friends and I started encouraging them to get their real estate license to come work for me. And they were doing it. And so here's what happened. Fonville Morisey dropped the ball. There's no other way to put it. They dropped the ball. I was one of their top producing agents for many years. And when I approached them about an alternative to working till I die and giving away all my business and how to make that work, I got some pushback and I didn't get a lot of support. And so, and I worked that with them for about 9 months. For 9 months, I was having the conversation and I just really wasn't getting anywhere. And it was frustrating me. And so basically the only solution they had for me was that, yeah, I can have a team, but I got to pay $400 a month to have everybody on my team. And I was hiring brand new agents who'd never sold a house. And the idea of paying $2,000 a month on top of the $1,000 a month I was already paying them just so I could, figure out a way to retire in the future, just wasn't acceptable. And so even though I never intended to leave Fonville Morisey, just one day I got frustrated and I started searching on Google. And I searched best real estate companies to have a team, and EXP Realty popped up in my search. And I remembered hearing about how all these big time agents in the Raleigh area were moving to EXP. But again, I was very content at Fonville Morisey. I had no intention of leaving. In my 15 years at Fonville Morisey, I would get calls once a week, once a month from other brokerages trying to recruit me. And not one single time in that 15 years did I actually meet a broker in charge for another company for coffee to hear what they had to offer. So I was pretty comfortable where I was at, but now I decided to make a call. So I called Sharon Evans, who is $100 million plus producer in our area, one of the big dogs who moved to EXP in our market. She wasn't a good friend of mine. She was an acquaintance, and I called her and I said, "What's going on over there?" And she told me enough on the phone to pique my interest and invited me to come to the office and meet with her and Tina Call to talk about EXP. And when I went in and I talked to them, I was really amazed. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I made that appointment to go and talk to them, my intent was to find out what they offered so I could go back to Fonville Morisey and use it as leverage so that I could get Fonville Morisey to give me some sort of a better deal than charging me $3,000 a month to have a team. But what ended up happening was I was intrigued and I was amazed. And I went home and I thought about it for many, many weeks. And then I called Sharon back and I said, "I want to know more." And so I continued a conversation with him. And then just one day I looked at my husband and I said, "I think I want to go." He's like, "You got to be kidding me." And I'm like, "No, I think I want to go. I think everybody is going to move to EXP. And I don't want to be the last one on the bus because this model is brilliant." So that is kind of how it started. It took me a few months to get all my stuff in order and figure out an exit strategy from Fonville Morisey. And that's what I did. So if I look back on why I left Fonville Morisey for EXP, the number one reason is going to be that they dropped the ball. And they made me upset. And because of that, I started looking. And then once I looked and once I saw, I couldn't unlook. So now let's fast forward 18 months. I've been at EXP. And so people want to know, how's it going? Are you glad you moved? What's the difference? And for me, it's life-changing. And it's life-changing because I realize now that for 15 years, I was winging it and I was doing a really good job. I was selling houses, you know, and I loved everybody I worked with, and I loved going into the office, and we would go out afterwards and have a beer, and it was awesome. And I thought it was great, but I wasn't really being educated on how to take my business to the next level. So not only was I not being, you know, helped in figuring out how to retire one day without just giving all my business away, but I wasn't really being encouraged to grow and learn anymore. So when I went to EXP, I found that there was this amazing collaboration of all of the agents nationwide who were communicating regularly, multiple times a week, and just sort of sharing their playbooks on their success. And so I have really been able to do a lot of stuff because of that collaboration. So the first thing I did was I did start a team. And I started a team because another agent who had a team really encouraged me to look into it. That has been an amazing move for me. Like, I didn't think that I wanted to have a team because I didn't want to buy leads and I didn't want to manage all the people. And so for that reason, I was resistant. But for me, what I ended up doing is I ended up bringing on agents and being their mentor and their coach. And then instead of buying them leads, I was giving them some of the business that I already had. Because remember, I'm selling 40, 50 houses a year. And that means I'm working 70, 80 hours a week, and I'm in my car every single day, and there's not a lot of breathing room. And so by putting these people on my team and giving them a split of my business, I'm taking some calls and I'm teaching them, but I'm getting a little bit less time on the road. And so that's been a real plus for me. And then, of course, I'm trying to help them grow their businesses with their sphere of influence, which is how I did all my business for 15 years. And so I'm teaching them that, and it's been really, really good. The next thing is just learning how to be a team leader and how to continue to grow my business. And so I started doing some stuff on YouTube. So I'm just started it a few months ago, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to work. Got out of my comfort zone, getting myself on video like today and just sort of sharing, what I can share, and hoping that I'm going to get some relocation clients who are going to call me, and I'm going to refer those out to my team and hopefully continue to just build something really, really big. But when I think about why I went to EXP specifically, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at anything else. So all those broker in charges who had been calling me over the years, I didn't call any of them. And so it was almost an accident that I ended up at EXP. And what I was really intrigued by was the model and how they were taking this cloud brokerage and they were making the agents number one. So in a traditional brokerage, you have, owners, and you have regional owners, and you have franchise owners, and you have a broker in charge and a team leader and admin and all these other expenses. And then at the very bottom, you have a real estate agent, and all the real estate agents are doing the work to pay all of those other people. And when I went in and I talked to Tina Call and Sharon Evans, and they told me about the revenue share and how EXP was more about collaboration of all the agents becoming one big team, sharing all of their information so that nobody's reinventing the wheel trying to get their success, and then compensating those agents for their contribution towards somebody else's success. I thought it was brilliant. And that's exactly what's happening. So when I started my team, Sharon Evans showed me her playbook, gave me some tips, gave me some advice so that I could start my team. April Stevens shared her contract with her buyer's agents, so I could just reuse that and fill in the blanks. I didn't have to create a new contract. Tina Call opened up her new agent training. She's had a big team for years. She's constantly training her new agents. So instead of me having to do everything, my buyer's agents hop onto her training. They can go in person, they can go on Zoom, they can watch it after the fact. But imagine the amount of time that has saved me personally, thus enabling me to even do this, because those other people who are invested in my success and the success of my buyer's agents are sharing their playbook. So that has been absolutely amazing. So for me, the change has been great. In 18 months at EXP, I've started a team. I've got 6 people on my team. We're selling houses like crazy. I'm getting a little bit of a break from being in my car all the time. I'm constantly learning, and I'm loving it. Like, I'm loving just like absorbing all of the information that I'm learning, because like I said, I was winging it before and I was doing well. But I think that the sky is the limit now that I have these resources. And then, just being an owner of the company has been awesome for me. I mean, that was another reason why I came to EXP, is because of the stock that they offered. They've given me stock when I sell a house. They give me stock when somebody on my team sells a house, or somebody who I sponsor sells a house. And so I'm earning stock, and I'm reinvesting in my company as an owner of the company. And I just think it's amazing. So I'm loving that as well. Um, and then, of course, the revenue share. The revenue share was probably the number one reason why I left EXP, because remember when I started this video, I was talking about how to retire. And so EXP offered to me an alternative to just starting a team and teaching the team, which I'm doing, but I understand now that sometimes you bring people onto your team and then they start their own team. At least in this case, they're still going to be in my organization at EXP. So everybody I bring on to EXP is in my organization. And so now I'm talking to other agents, just like you, about what I love about EXP. And one of the things that I love is the revenue share. When I share the model, which is a better split than almost anybody you're going to get out there, absolutely amazing training, and by far the best collaboration you're going to find on any real estate brokerage out there, they want to come. And when they come, I become their mentor and their coach, and we talk every single week. And for that, I get incented by EXP. They take part of their split and they give it back to me. And that's another video to talk about that. But now I have a way to retire, and I'm already seeing that come into play. So if you want to learn more about it, let me know. But that's the reason why I left Fonville Morisey and came to EXP. And that's my update on, the fact that I still love it at EXP. And I honestly feel like everybody's going to come eventually. When I started, there were 35,000 employees. Now there's 77,000 in just, a year and a half. So there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of other agents to sort of hop on the bus and do something innovative and be number one in your company instead of being on the bottom, feeding everybody else. So think about it.